It's time for Twig. This week in Google, Jeff Jarvis and Stacey Higginbotham are here. And a newbie, we've got Joan Donovan from Dana Boyd's Research and Society Research Group. She's an expert in media manipulation. We'll talk about what you would do if you were going to run for president in 2020. Plus, I've got the new Echo Spot. We'll give you a little mini first look. All coming up next on Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 436, recorded Wednesday, December 20th, 2017. I married a Stormtrooper. This Week in Google is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans. Home plays a big role in your life. That's why Quicken Loans created Rocket Mortgage. It lets you apply simply and understand the entire mortgage process fully, so you can be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. Get started at rocketmortgage.com/twig. And by GoToWebinar, a trusted webinar platform with over 55,000 customers who have hosted over 2.7 million interactive web events to connect with their audiences. For more, visit gotowebinar.com/podcast. It's time for Twig, This Week in Google, the show where we cover the latest from Google, or we could talk about blue boxing, phone freaking. We got an expert in-house. Let's welcome Joan Donovan. Hi, Joan. She's a research fellow at Data and Society, which is Dana Boyd's research group, right?
Yep, out in New York City. I just moved here from LA, so it's all very new to me.
And you are not only an expert in social engineering, phone hacking, but you also like to talk about manipulating the media. So if you feel at any time that you would like to manipulate this show, please
Yes.
be my guest.
An expert.
Hacking.
Yeah.
Expert hacking.
Yeah. I feel like I've been manipulated many times as a media professional. Also here, media professional, journalist, professor at buzzmachine.com, Jeff Jarvis from the City University of New York. Jeff brought us Joan, so it's nice to thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, I suppose I should do a partial disclosure here because we haven't announced anything yet, but it's very likely that News Integrity Initiative, which I started with money from Facebook, Craig Newmark, and the Ford Foundation, full disclosure, is very likely to be working with Data and Society and Joan. And so Joan and I were at the same conference at Penn last week, and in the bars, everybody in the bar had had a few too many. She said, I want to be on Twig.
Come on.
I said,
Come on, Jarvis. Let me on Twig.
So a fan is here.
Lifelong dream.
I actually think she wants to be on Twit, but she's taking this as consolation.
Well, yeah, this is the first step. It's a few letters different. That's all. One letter different. And
this show's more fun.
I think so. Stacey Higginbotham's here from StaceyOnIoT.com. You've rearranged your room or something. Something's different.
I am in a completely different room in a completely different city.
I am so observant.
Good eye, Leo.
What city are you in?
I am in Houston, Texas.
With your parents?
I am at my parents.
And Stacey, would you like to do a Facebook disclaimer too?
I don't use it.
on what was it? Was it on Twit? On Sunday, we had Dan Gilmore, who also did the Facebook disclosure. I'm starting to think everybody who's on this show is now working for the Facebook Research News Integrity Initiative.
Can I start for just a few words here?
Mr. J?
So, and I found I just did what I was about to apologize for because Stacey was about to say something. So last week, I just wanted to say I left the show upset because I was trying very, very hard not to interrupt Stacey. I respect Stacey. I want to make sure I'm not an obnoxious man. I'm trying to do that. And I was doing like 4 times I saw that I did it. Now, a poor technician blames his technology. It's not easy on this lag stuff, but excuses aside, I did it. I apologized. People came after me on Twitter. They were right to do so, and I'm sorry. And in the repartee and the back and forth, I get caught up with it, and I wanted to make sure that Stacey, you knew that I apologized, and that the audience did too, and it's never intentional. So I just wanted to start off with that.
Well, Jeff, I was curious, how many times did I interrupt you? Because I'm pretty sure we both got pretty excited.
We did. And Stacey, that's the other thing about this. No, you're not. No, darn it, I'm the one who can be sorry.
No, stop it. I'm sorry, because I'm supposed to prevent those things from happening. Let me say one thing before you continue throwing yourself on the sword and grinding it in. That we just did a show with Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley, and the CMO of Microsoft. And Paul and Mary Jo were so careful not to jump in that there's all these long pauses that made Chris he was like, what do you think? Chris started having to keep the conversation going. And you can ignore Twitter on this, because for my whole career I've gotten tweets from people saying you're interrupting. We're trying to produce a show that's dynamic, exciting, engaging, and it is not a politeness festival. It's a vigorous conversation. So as long as everybody feels heard, that would be my only desire. Now everybody's going to be polite. You see, you ruined it, Jeff.
I won't be polite. Don't worry about me.
Joan, yes.
Hey.
I've been on enough conference calls in my life to know that you got to put yourself first.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody, the people we have on the shows are strong enough personalities that I can count on them. I hope, to assert themselves. Now, it's always tricky with somebody who's never been on before, like Joan. You've listened enough, but Jeff's absolutely right. It's hard with Skype because there is lag.
And I don't mean to blame Skype. I mean,
it's hard.
And Stacey was very gracious, and I was very grateful. I needed, Slap. I needed that on Twitter. We're in the rapper, in the back and forth. And I got to say this too. I'm probably exasperated at being in the position of being the guy who defends the big evil companies.
You should be, Jeff.
So I get a little exasperated.
You should be chagrined.
So you should be nicer.
Yeah, Jeff.
At some point,
today's not going to be different from yesterday in that respect. So.
Watch it, Joe. Watch it. I got the plug to pull.
Yeah. Well, he knows he's on the hook for defending some of this stuff, and it's a hard position to be in, because I think I keep telling people I love the internet, but there are things that need to change, and that doesn't mean that I'm not, thinking about all of the different ways and means of communicating. It's just that we've kind of ground ourselves into a halt here and are looking around. And I think it's important to reevaluate tech when we need to, in service of society. But it's also kind of cool to have cool things that are new and exciting. And sometimes, we got to figure out what the features are and what matters about them.
Yeah, I think I like Jeff's point of view, because it is important that we not be Luddites or indulge in techno panic. But I think Jeff also understands that, sometimes you have to call out a technology. I mean, not all technology is benign.
No, I do, but like last week, you were throwing Facebook completely over and calling it absolutely worthless and horrible. And so I'm in the position of saying, well, actually, no, it's not. It has some benefits. And so that's the dynamic, which I think we've played out a million times on the show too.
I've gotten more strident in this, though, because I'll be honest, I increasingly am aware of the real dangers that Facebook poses our republic and us as individuals. And it's more than just revealing the state of our bowels or our kidneys. It's really there's something going on here, don't you think? That is a little bit. I think there's a risk. As Google and Facebook get more powerful, I think we have to really hold them to high standards. I have always been hard on Google, because it's confused content with search. I
think we have to help them with those standards rather than just throwing them overboard. That's what I was trying to say last week, is that I think that it's incumbent upon us to be specific about the expectations of them rather than just saying, worthless.
Well, some things are worthless.
Do we want to actually, instead of generalizing, do we want to argue and talk about specifics? Because I actually thought of you, Jeff, with Facebook's both the unfriending stuff, muting, and then the facial recognition stuff that they announced this week. So I don't know if we want to get into talking about specifics yet, but
well, let's start with the snooze button. Is that what you're talking about? The snooze.
Yes,
that's one of the things. Yep.
So I actually like this. You can mute anybody for 30 days. It's really, we need better tools than, I mean, the problem is all of the tools Twitter and Facebook offer so far are sledgehammers. This is a little bit more subtle than just ignoring somebody forever. Didn't Twitter's got a snooze button, right?
Is it a snooze? I thought, because that's the problem. There are people I've muted long since, and I've long forgotten about them, and they're probably still complaining about me, and I don't know. I seem
to remember that, like when CES is going on, or
like Apple events, you can mute the tech community if you want.
Or Davos. But do you do that by keyword, Stacey? I can't remember how you do that.
As a journalist, I never mute ongoing topics because it's my job, so I don't actually know.
Right. But I do feel like that's something Twitter has had, and now Facebook has it, but it's individual-based. So you can say, enough for that person for 30 days. You like this?
Yeah. Cooling off period, good.
It's an interesting move. I think about it as something during the holidays. It's sometimes pretty hard to hear the same things over and over again, or maybe there's a very new baby. Maybe I'm speaking like someone who's a little tired of certain kinds and types of posters, but so it's halfway to unfollow. You don't want to unfollow them. You just say, until they get used to having a baby, can we just...
Joan, are you saying you don't like babies? Is that what you just said?
Well, I would prefer cats, dogs.
See, I mute the cats.
Any animal.
I mute the babies. I mute the cats. I mute them all.
I mean, human children. It's okay, but some people are a little too expressive. And then also, I think maybe snooze might also have something to do with people posting during, for instance, like political events, or, maybe you've got someone in your timeline that's really into the Grammys and you see over and over and over again. Maybe it's good for spoiler alerts if you want to snooze some people that are
Jedi stories. That's a good idea. Yeah.
So
can you snooze topics and not just people?
Just people.
Just people. But you kind of, if you know those people, you kind of know who some of them are.
You know who they are.
Topics would be hard to do.
It's true.
People are easy. Engineering.
I don't know. Would it be hard? You say, I don't want to see anything with the keyword The Last Jedi or Star Wars or Jedi. Yeah, I don't mind not seeing any Jedi posts. What is the hardship there?
You might miss a cute Halloween costume.
I would defend, by the way, myself in saying I don't think anybody needs Facebook, and I think that whatever lasting benefit Facebook offers can be gotten in other ways. I don't think Facebook is a. If Facebook did not exist, we would not be compelled.
You don't need poetry.
Facebook is not poetry.
Well, but
I'm sorry.
But it serves a purpose for some people, just like poetry serves a purpose for some people.
Okay. Now let's talk about facial recognition.
Guys, this is, and we talk about this on, Kevin and I did a segment on our show, so you're just going to be bored if you hear my show tomorrow.
So I'll tell you, the news is, and this is Kurt Wagner and the Recode. The news is that, and this has always been a problem, people uploading pictures of you without tagging you, and you don't know it's there, and you might not like it. Facebook is now going to recognize the faces and uploads and let you know that somebody's uploaded a picture of you, whether or not they tag you. That's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
that's right.
And that's really exciting. Like, as someone who, like, if you were stalked, for example, and you could get your picture off Facebook, even if your friends don't tag you, that's going to be great. But it does mean now that Facebook is very confident that it knows what most people look like, even if they're not posting a lot. So I saw this, and unfortunately, right before it, I also read the USA Today story about the surveillance state and image recognition used by China in the areas to tamp down on the Uyghur rebellion. Yeah. And I don't know if you saw that story, but it was crazy scary how, and I thought, if Facebook has this information and awesome image recognition, China is apparently developing this, what's to say that Facebook won't give this to people? And they probably wouldn't, but we're just giving all of this data away, and so many companies, states are starting to have access to it, and it's pretty freaking scary.
You don't have to assume, though, that Facebook's going to give it to a government to not like this idea. I mean, Facebook now already, Facebook collects information about everything you put on Facebook and adds to that big database. But face recognition means they're going to recognize everything about you from every source possible. And here's the other thing that is actually even a bigger
correlate
concern.
It back to you.
And correlate it back to you, right. So this is without your I could leave Facebook, but now they know enough about what I look like that I'd still be dumping information into Facebook via other people. They'd be putting my information in. But
you know, the thing is, this capability is there no matter what. They're just coming out with it. Number one. Number two. So I got an argument with somebody on Facebook who I respect immensely. Rajan Narazetti, who's a major media executive, and he was decrying this, you know, as the creepy personal thing. And I said, no. I said, now you can know when someone's putting up a photo of yourself that you don't know. This is good. But I was in the exact same debate like we had last week. Is, oh no, Facebook bad. And I said, imagine a different company did this. You know, are you still going to presume that it's bad? And I don't think it is. Listen, the technology can be misused. Yeah, absolutely. But that doesn't mean that it will be, or that doesn't mean that the use is bad.
Here's my problem, Jeff. Facebook, I don't trust Facebook. And I've seen them do stuff in the past without letting us know, by accident, apologizing later. They have proven themselves, in my opinion, untrustworthy in this area. By the way, when they ask now, okay, in order for this to work, we have to grant Facebook permission to use facial recognition, they don't say specifically for this purpose. They say broadly across the service. You're giving them now, in order to enable this.
Is it opt-in?
Facebook is changing its settings to make it easier for the company to add more facial recognition features down the line. Instead of this is again, Kurt. Instead of asking,
is it opt-in or opt-out?
Instead of asking users to give Facebook permission to use facial recognition for tagging purposes, which is what the company asks for now, users will now be asked to grant Facebook permission to use facial recognition broadly across the service. That's what and their excuse will be, well, we have to do that, otherwise we won't be able to see people post pictures of you. But they now will have permission to use it in many ways.
Yeah, and so thinking of this with my sort of hat on here, thinking about it's almost a signal that it's more accurate in a much larger database, and perhaps much more sinister in the sense that it's more accurate than the current FBI database facial recognition software. And so I can see where we can hope for the best, but also I imagine that in the science fiction to come, right, the future that's already here, they're not entirely, you know, beholden to holding on to that data or not selling that data.
I don't even care because I don't trust Facebook with that data.
I'm with you, Leo. You don't have to fight me. We're going to fight.
Yeah, I mean, you don't, but I'm just saying you don't have to presume that they're going to give it to the government. As I said before, the fact that Facebook has it's bad enough.
Well, this is what I'm trying to say is that they're not, it's not always that the data is going to be improperly used. It's that the data's there, and there are lots and lots of people, different governments in a competitive space that are looking for this kind of data and looking for this kind of technology. And one thing that makes databases both hard to do is that you can't get the actual data into them. So we have force-fed this machine so many terabytes of data that it's very, very powerful at this point. And we've put no restrictions on, as a society, as a country, on what that could look like in terms of selling, mining, federating data with other databases. I mean, what makes data really interesting to me as a researcher is when we can link it up to other forms of data. And so I wonder then if we're headed for a kind of circle situation, right, where it's so powerful that these are the things, these end up being the tools we use to verify census or to verify identity with voting. And so when we build something so large and so powerful and leave it in the hands of a corporation with no rules and restrictions, we are sort of setting ourselves up for some kind of a failure.
Totally agree. And I would add, that one of the challenges with facial recognition is there are cameras everywhere. This is passive data collection that you may or may not be aware of as a person. And granted, in Facebook, it looks like you can opt in to have this. But having such high quality facial recognition software and being able to tie that back into a database forever and then correlate it with other things is basically giving someone an itinerary of where you've been forever. And you don't know who has access to it. You don't know what can be done with that. And if bad things happen, you have no recourse. So if your employer suddenly decides they want to, get access to this data. And it's the other thing to realize is Facebook is really good at it, but it publishes a lot of papers explaining how it got really good at it. And really what's standing between other companies and this type of facial recognition is just the ability to collect data, which just means access to cameras. And so we're entering a place where this is going to be technology available for everyone, and we don't have any rules around how to use it, much like what Joan was saying. So.
But we also need to account for the good things that can occur. Example I've used on the show often was the former head of consumer protection in Germany said that facial recognition and geotechnology was henceforth, in her word, taboo. Doesn't account for finding missing children, for finding Alzheimer's patients, for finding criminals and terrorists.
There are other ways to do that without facial recognition.
But it is a way. It is a way, and it is a good use. And so we have to be careful about not cutting off the good uses because we fear a bad use. And if I may, this is the territory that we have gone over a million times on this show. But we're about to go back into the rabbit hole.
A counter example that's maybe a little bit closer to home. I call in sick to work, and I go to a baseball game. And someone in the crowd takes a picture of themselves, but I'm sitting behind them enjoying, some popcorn or some peanuts and then that kind of a picture ends up circulating online with my name tagged to it. And whatever rules that are on there now doesn't necessarily mean that I don't, maybe I forget 3 months out that I, hadn't logged into Facebook. Oh, this is a funny picture. It came up about the baseball game. Oh, yeah, I was at that baseball game. And then, there are all these other people looking as well, especially
but Joan,
when
you did something wrong.
But it doesn't mean my boss.
Oh my God!
We start.
You see, if you don't do anything wrong, what do you have to fear?
Yeah, Jeff, that's.
This is there are these traps.
I'm surprised, Joan.
No, Jeff's
afraid. In seriousness, is protest policing.
Yes,
which is you have mass people that go out.
There's a better example. Yes,
walk. They just walk.
It's already happening. I mean, the Trump administration is looking into people who protested his inauguration.
And that's something that we have to be cognizant of, because also one of the Russian Facebook events that was tied to those Russian accounts was a Not My President protest that was target marketed to people within 10 miles of New York, and they collected a bucket of Facebook profiles that was about 33,000 people.
Yep.
Right. So if you can imagine layering that also onto facial recognition, you have a very powerful tool for suppression.
So then I would ask, Jeff, which is more important, that we could have an Arab Spring with the help of Facebook, by the way, would have happened anyway, or that an Arab Spring could be suppressed with the help of Facebook? I would submit that the much greater risk is. I
don't think it's binary. I think it's. By the way, let me just answer the question this way: as in privacy, the far greater threat is not the company; it is government.
Well, it's true that some of us fear public governments and some of us fear individual corporations. I think we've already shown that there's a porous membrane between the two. Anyway,
and it's whoever has the power. But I would say, Jeff, instead of, yes, technology is a tool and we can use it however we want, for good or for ill, but we need to say, we do need to have this discussion about where the risks are. And it feels like you are saying, techno panic whenever we start discussing risks and offering up some good cases. I would say, look at it like thalidomide. So the harms there were so great that they put so in the benefits they existed, but they were very small. So they put a lot of rules and regulations around prescribing that particular drug. And I think facial recognition is something very similar in its potential to harm, with maybe fewer benefits. So I think, and we have the time and space to have those nuanced conversations. So I think we totally should.
I do think it's also. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just think it's ironic that we're. Oh, go ahead, Jeff. I don't want to interrupt because you have a nice flow going, and then I'll bring up the irony after you.
No,
after you.
Stacey, we're agreeing. What I'm hearing from the two of you is, from Leo last week, it was throw out Facebook, right? And that's what I'm objecting to. And I fear, and you didn't say this today, but I've heard this from others, is basically, my God, facial recognition, bad, stop it. No, it's good. Do we need discussion about the dangers? Absolutely. Do we also need discussions about the opportunities and protecting them? Yes. Do we need a sane discussion about standards and or regulations? Yes, I'm fine with that. What I hear too often is throw out the technology, and that's what I'm decrying. That's it. So we're agreeing.
I'm only saying, I wouldn't say throw out the technology whole hog. But Facebook I would throw out. I'm starting to become very concerned, seriously concerned about Facebook's motives and abilities and the dangers of Facebook. And the irony, I think, here is that Facebook is proposing, well, we'll do this face recognition to solve a problem that Facebook created, which is the ability for strangers to upload pictures of you to Facebook. And then we're all hailing this as, oh, good, now you could stop that. But Facebook created the problem in the first place.
Well, don't forget what Google can do with your photos. Google can find you through the ages and find your kids, and we say, oh, that's cool. It's not just Facebook. I mean, listen, you can bet the NSA
FBI,
it's years.
Facebook, it's China, it's Russia. Russia, by the way, you got to include in that group, is absolutely using face recognition to suppress its people. But I don't think it's like saying, we got Baby Ruth candy bars. Aren't they great? Yeah, but they're going to kill you if you keep eating them. Yeah, but they're great. I think Facebook is at that level of amusement and entertainment. I don't think it is a very valuable part of our polity. Really?
Listen, I'll put Joan in an unfair position and quote her boss, probably wrongly, but Facebook aside, the fact that people can find each other and realize they're not alone in the world and do things has value. It depends on how you use it. Obviously, of course, every tool does.
It's disconnecting us from the natural ways we do that.
Oh, who says that's natural?
Tribal, local society. That's natural. That is natural. That's how it's been forever. It's in creating this new digital pseudo connection.
Well, how it was forever is that everybody knew your business. Everybody knew your business.
Yes.
This notion of privacy is very recent.
I agree. It's not the privacy thing I'm worried about. It is the very I don't want to use evil, but it's the very malignant power that Facebook has and I have to say has used, and this year has been a very good example of how Facebook has been misused. And I don't think that the benefit we get from Facebook, this pseudo connection, is in any way worth it. People are connecting. Well, people have always connected. And if anything, Facebook's turning us off to the benign, valuable, real-world connections for these pseudo-connections.
I don't like my neighbors. I like the people on Facebook more.
Rest my case.
My neighbors aren't very nice, actually.
Rest my case.
Some of them are.
None of those people on Facebook are nice either. You just don't. You don't have a real connection with them.
No.
You don't have to share a fence with them.
No.
No, I agree with you. Privacy. I'm not arguing about privacy. I'm arguing about the danger. Yeah, maybe. But you, like you, I'm very open. I'm not that private. I'm worried much more about what a power tool Facebook can be, and I don't trust them. I really don't trust them. That's really the bottom line.
See, but without all this wonderful technology, you couldn't have Google double reverse Christmas carols. He said, changing the damn subject.
Let's take a break and we'll come back with more. Hey, Joe, we're glad to have you here, and jump in. It's kind of funny that Jeff brought reinforcements in our attack on him.
Yeah, can you hear me? I think my microphone might be having some trouble.
I hear
me
you.
okay?
I hear you good.
Yep.
Yeah, no, you should take a break.
You might have been muted earlier, but you're fine now.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Joan Donovan is here. She is a researcher at, is it safe to say Dana Boyd's Data and Society, or?
It's usually just Data and Society. It's actually a pretty big wheelhouse. So Dana's the founder, but she has built quite a large network of researchers that span the globe at this point. And so there's about 50 of us that work in-house, and then we've got, quite a web of affiliates. And yeah, and so she's put together quite a motley crew of people that are very, very committed to doing research and are either academics, alt academics, or have had careers as technologists. And so there's it's quite an interdisciplinary research institute.
Well, and it's one of the reasons we're having the conversation we're having right now. This is right, as you said, in your wheelhouse. We're so glad we could have her. She's Joan Donovan is a media manipulation research lead.
Yeah.
Joan gets all the fun.
Jeff Jarvis, professor of journalism. You know Jeff, City University of New York.
He's the pink guy.
No, he's not pink. You're red. Admit it. He's our red from buzzmachine.com at Jeff. Oh, look, now he's pink. Now he's red. At Jeff Jarvis on the Twitter. And Stacey Higginbotham, who is blue. Stacey on IoT.com. Our show today brought to you by Rocket Mortgage. Don't you be blue. Interest rates are going up. Fed raised them 1/4 point. They say 3 more raises in 2018. Maybe this would be a good time to look at refinancing your home loan, or perhaps you're ready to buy a home. Now's the time to get a mortgage from rocketmortgage.com/twig. Rocket Mortgage is brought to you by Quicken Loans, the best lender in the country. #1 in customer satisfaction from J.D. Power, year after year, 8 years running now for the mortgage approval process. 4 consecutive years. They just got it for 2017 as well for mortgage servicing. And one of the things Quicken Loans noticed, because they are very technological, is that the mortgage experience wasn't keeping up with the times. It was kind of 19th century. We needed a client-focused technological revolution, and Quicken Loans created Rocket Mortgage. And when you think about it, it's obvious. Why do you need to go to the bank to meet the bank manager and beg for a loan, and he'll show you all the rates and his very fancy mortgage calculator, and then you have to go up into the attic and you go get all the paperwork and the check statements and the pay stubs, when you could do that all? Hey, we got computers now, online. That's how Rocket Mortgage works. It's completely transparent, so you know exactly what's going on. It couldn't be simpler. You don't have to go get paperwork. You just answer a few basic questions. Once they've identified you, they say, this is your bank account? Yeah. They have trusted relationships with all the financial institutions, so they can just pull the data they need, with your permission, of course. And then, based on income, assets, and credit, within a minute, they crunch the numbers and say, all right, you qualify for these home loans. What's your down payment? What's your interest rate? What's your term? You pick the loan you like or not. But if you like it, you say, yeah, that one. And you can mortgage with confidence. Within a minute or two, you can get approved for a home loan at rocketmortgage.com/twig. Very handy. If you go to a house and you say, hey, I like this, but you don't have to go home. You don't have to go to the bank. You just go to your phone, rocketmortgage.com/twig. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, and MLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030. We thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans for their support. rocketmortgage.com/twig. All right, let's change the subject. We're getting Jeff down. I don't want to get Jeff down. Did you see this great article? Google Maps Moat. This is from Justin Obeyme. Is that his real name? I don't know. This is Justin Obeyme. This is a comparison of Google Maps and Apple Maps, but also Waze and other maps. And it's very obvious in this first animated image. Apple Maps has no building information. Google seems to have the outlines of all the buildings. It's even better than that. It's not just in big cities. It's in that Waze doesn't have it. Bing doesn't have it. Here doesn't have it. TomTom doesn't have it. OpenStreetMap, Macbox, none of them have it. You know why? Google's got all that great satellite information that tells them, and that's what they're doing. They're using, again, machine learning to figure out where things are. I love the animated GIFs he puts in this article. Look here's parks. They actually have the park shelters in the park. They have trailers, and you can see that they're trailers. If you look at this 3D outline on Google Maps of a church, you can actually see the steps. It's not just the building, it's the front steps. You could see the cupola on a post office.
Can't you also buy satellite data like this?
Yeah, I don't know why Apple doesn't have it. That's really interesting. It's not just Street
View. Is it necessary? Is it Google just showing off? What does it add?
Google certainly has the computational ability to do this.
Yeah.
And one of the things Justin Obey-Me is pointing out is, I hope that's his name, is
it's O-B-E-I-R-N-E in the URL.
Shoot, O'Byrne. Oh, I was eliding the R and the M, hoping it was Obey-Me. I guess it's O'Byrne.
I didn't even get the joke.
Oh, no, it wasn't a joke. I really
I got it now.
Accidentally eliding the R and N to make an M. But it's even small towns. He says, even my tiny little town. Here's a town of 100. They have Smitty's Bar. It goes farther than that. No, I think some of this is just really good AI. I mean, Google's really willing to apply their AI to stuff. So they're using the satellite images, but then they're also figuring out, as we scroll down, where the commerce corridors are, where the interesting neighborhoods are. They're actually, because they have so much information about the businesses in an area, and apparently he says he thinks it's bars, restaurants. They're looking at the kinds of businesses and saying, oh, this is a neighborhood. This is an area of interest. They can even say, look, they can see the bay windows.
Which they do, yeah.
Is that wild?
Foursquare is the company that has really interesting data on a B2B level here, because they know what doors you've gone into.
Right.
And how long you spent there and things like that.
I think, though, that Google, especially with Google Places and, the business information they're getting, seems to be doing, a pretty good job. And he shows how they're taking the satellite imagery and basically turning it into these 3D. Even Google says that's exactly what we're doing. But I find that this is a really interesting study. This is Rachel Anacino and Yoshang Chen in their master's thesis, visualizing mental maps of San Francisco. They asked San Franciscans, and Jeff, you lived here for a long time, you'll kind of recognize this, to sketch a map of the city from memory. And you see all the neighborhoods: Chinatown, Presidio, Land's End, Hayes Street, Pacific Heights. These are they call them main drags in mini cities, commercial corridors that attract people. Google knows them. Using zoning maps and information from the interviews, Anacino and Cheng identified 27 commercial corridors within San Francisco. If you
imagine if you could also take this on top of gerrymandering and put true communities together.
Well, there you go.
Really works together.
There you go. Facebook could tell you where all the Republicans are in San Francisco.
Oh, there was actually there's data on that.
Yes,
it's the car data. I was just saying,
trucks.
But
trucks.
But they own more pickups.
Well, no, I'll have to find the thing. But what I think is actually really powerful here.
If you have a rifle rack, you're a Republican. Is that it?
Yeah.
Democrats do tend to own Subarus. That is something that. So it's a study that shows
it's the Subaru to F-150 ratio.
Yeah,
it basically
in LA it would be the Prius to F-150 ratio.
Yeah, Prius.
Yeah, Prius.
I found it here, Stacey. I'll put it in the rundown.
Oh, excellent. Well, no, what I was going to say is,
there you go.
What Google is showing us in this Maps moat that I think is maybe underappreciated is that this data now is relatively cheap, right? You have satellite data. We're going to have all this data coming in from many different sources. What's going to set different businesses apart is actually how they bring the data together and apply it to deliver useful products and insights. And that is what Google is doing here. So Maps is a great case study. Another is Google Photos. So it's not enough to be like, I got the data. Everyone's like, data's the new oil. And I'm kind of like, maybe it's the new crude, but you got to understand how to refine it. And I think that's where Google really wins.
Metaphor gone mad.
That was a great metaphor. I love it.
I'm like, I'm in Houston. If I can make an oil metaphor, I'm going to do it.
It's seeping into her brain.
I think too. I mean, is there a question here about businesses that are left off the map? or because I'm often wondering, how much of a city is actually in the cloud. So I do a lot of traveling and I don't always have time to ask people that have been to the city before what restaurants they recommend or places they would go see. And I'm wondering too, is there something to be said for having ways of inputting that are different than the kind of data that they're collecting from satellites or the kind of data that they're pulling from just business addresses, because especially in smaller towns, there's lots and lots of things that never end up datafied in the same way. And so I'm thinking about, does it strategically give certain businesses an advantage? And of course there's a metrics game here too, which is how do you make sure that you're in the map? Is there a way to make sure that you're in the map and accurately described? One of the things that's funny about when people look for data in society, for instance, is they get some fairly funny photos of what the building is or who's affiliated with it. And so, so I'm wondering, is this sort of the future of the yellow pages in a way, and then also what's left off the map that we can't see?
We were very careful when we moved, for instance. I, did a Google Places thing on Google Maps and made sure that Twit's old location was deprecated and our new location was shown, which is right here. And I provided the business information, so I know that that's accurate, although that picture's of the old place, not the new place. But you make an interesting point, because in this area, I know, for instance, CA is right next to us, but I don't see them showing up on this map. And that's a computer company. Maybe they don't want to be on the map. The restaurants, some of the restaurants are, but some aren't. And is that just because I have an advantage because I know to make sure that I appear on the map, and these other guys don't? I guess so, right?
Yes, but so there's what you're doing there is self-identifying your business, which, if you own a business and you're in a location, sure, you should do. But Google's not just grabbing satellite and Street View data. They're gathering data from any Android user that pops in and shares their location.
Yes.
They also have business Wi-Fi data from what was that company? So they have all that indoor data from Wi-Fi.
What was it? Something Hook.
Yeah, I think it was right.
Something Hook.
Skyhook? I think that's right.
Yeah, so...
Hey, can you do me a favor and unplug and replug your headset? It seems to be breaking up. Did we never send Stacey? Oh, she's at her parents'. That's right. I was going to say, didn't we send you a good setup? She's on.
Is better?
Yeah. These headsets, after about an hour, they kind of get weird.
They poop out.
You're right.
Anyway,
Google has more data than anybody, right? They can collect it all.
Well, Apple could have this data. The challenge is Apple is very much more privacy focused.
Right.
So again,
that's a disadvantage, right?
Well, it depends on how you look at it.
Well, Apple's
with some
part of the
people,
reason for that. But I wouldn't argue that that's out of principle. It's because Apple decided not to go into the ad business.
Right.
So they don't use and need the data the same way the other companies do.
Right.
Although Apple is trying to market their privacy.
Oh, they've turned it into a feature.
Yes.
But I think it was a bug.
I have to say, now that I look at this, you could totally see what kind of cars are in the parking lot. Are you saying that
Which could tell you? Well, go back to that story.
Oh, sorry. Go back.
And it will tell you something about ethnicity.
That's enough information.
Well, scroll on down on either side of the photos. So among the findings, it's right there on the screen, bottom of the screen. There you go. Nope, go up a little bit. Nope. That paragraph. Whoa.
Let me do it on my. This is from City Lab. I'll do it on my computer because that's Karsten driving. He's got other things to do here. So black neighborhoods more strongly associated with Buick, Oldsmobile, and Chrysler vehicles. The presence of pickup trucks, Volkswagens, and Aston Martins indicate mostly white neighborhoods. Toyota and Honda strongly associated with Asian neighborhoods. We've known this for years, though. I remember a guy came in once on my radio show 20 years ago and said, tell me your zip code. I could tell you what magazines you and your neighbors subscribe to, what kind of cars you buy.
Yes.
Yeah,
this is
Axiom.
this is computer. This is computer vision generated, which means it is now scalable in a way that and then searchable, and it's saved. And is this nefarious? I don't know, but it's much easier to get and cheaper to get, which changes things.
In Gilbert, Arizona, using the proportion of pickup trucks to sedans, the model correctly identified the voting patterns of 58 out of 60 precincts, 97% accuracy. The model indicated a city with more sedans has an 88% chance of voting for a Democrat in the next election. Those with more pickup trucks, 82% more likely to vote Republican. You're right. I mean, this data, Google has this data. Google knows this stat. I don't know what it's doing with it. You know who doesn't have that data is Facebook, right? They don't have Street View data like that.
No, and if you want to target political ads, or if you wanted to target,
maybe you go to
Joan,
Google.
if you wanted to target manipulation to look for cells of people in certain beliefs, that kind of data would be helpful, wouldn't it?
Well, but Facebook may know a lot more. Facebook's pretty good at it, right?
Yeah, but you wouldn't necessarily it's like hard, right? Because there's even the incentive to like on Facebook a Honda page or things. I mean, you have to be a pretty big fan, right, to signal in certain ways to Facebook. But they might in their photos also be able to recognize brands and then have ways and means of correlating that data.
Here's the difference. Here's the difference. So this City Lab, somebody came up with a hypothesis, and then City Lab analyzed it, and then said, oh, yeah, there's a correlation. Pickup trucks and sedans. That's what I would have guessed. Facebook doesn't work that way at all. It's a black box. They just have tons of data. It may turn out that people who buy Cheerios are more likely to vote Republican. It may turn out that if somebody who buys Cheerios and likes the Honda page is a Bernie Sanders Democrat. And it doesn't matter. It's not something you hypothesize. Google just has, Facebook has all the data. So
but
they just know.
Also, think about neighborhoods and car ownership over time. If you're dealing with small towns, maybe there is only a Honda dealership, or maybe there's only a Toyota dealership.
That's what I'm saying. Facebook has a much better data, much more useful data.
Yeah, and so the idea though would be if you were to want to target different groups of people to influence voter behavior, you'd be looking to nudge them in a particular for a kind of emotional response. And so maybe the question is, do you serve them fake news articles about how all pickup owners are, X, Y, and Z bad actors, right? And so you try to influence them by saying people who own pickups are Republican or are Democrat, and therefore you should think this way about them, which are just stereotypes that we've always had. And I know that, in California, cars don't rust. And so I've seen quite a few Hondas driven by all manner of people. So it doesn't seem to even hold across place. Yeah. And so that signifies to me that voting data is more useful than any correlation that may or may not be associated with car type.
Yes. In fact,
Joan, what kinds of correlations, unexpected correlations, do you find to extreme political behavior?
That's a really good question. So, unidentified correlations. That'd be a really good one, because one of the things that we've been trying to understand is what are the things we're not looking for in terms of manipulation around these nudges. And so one of the things that we've found in looking at the small amount of data that we've gotten from the Senate intelligence hearings is that the Russian pages were influencing social movements. And so even if you're just looking for certain bits of information about, say, what's happening in activism around Black Lives Matter, for instance, you might have been exposed to Russian propaganda. And so when we're trying to understand this large body of what is and what isn't correlated to certain fringe groups, it's been really hard to look at that without getting mixed signals from places that we would expect, obviously, that certain people are looking for information about social movements and things would be maybe predisposed to certain kind of fringe ideas or would be motivated to act in a certain way. But one of the things that we didn't expect, I think, was that other governments would be posing as not just citizens or sock puppet accounts, but posing as actual groups and movements. And so, so there's the data is very hard for us to parse at this point because it's really hard to see who are people and who are organizations and what their intentions and motivations really are.
So this leads to a whole other question, and I'm not going to go back to the Facebook rabbit hole, please. But in trying to look at the standards and principles and practices, fake accounts and bots. There are benign bots, there are good bots, there are service bots. Tell me when the train's not working. Okay, that's fine. But generally, how could you imagine crafting a principle around the bad use of fake accounts and bots? So that Facebook said, for example, that one of the things they're doing now is if somebody comes and harasses you and you block them, Facebook now is going to stop them from doing it again when they create a new account. Well, hello, if you're creating new accounts for the purposes of harassing people, that should be what you're going after, not that you come after me particularly. So fake accounts and bots. What's an ethical principle that the platform should be following around that?
It's really hard because one of the things that I think we all think, and maybe Leo has an opinion on this, is that when we friend something on Facebook or follow something on Twitter, that it's transparent in the sense that we know what we're looking at, right? And because these things are so shrouded in mystery and we don't have access to the social graph in the way that these companies do, we are often not questioning that we're talking to a real person or that we're not talking to a state-sponsored troll army. And the problem with bots, I think, is that we've just kind of crammed a bunch of miscellaneous stuff that the internet has always done into these automated accounts that amplify information, good, bad, or indifferent. And so it's been hard in terms of thinking about what is the proper protocol, I think, or the ethical use of things. One thing that I think we all can agree on is that that there needs to be more oversight and more clarity around at least the stuff that we're not choosing to see, which is advertising online, and how that stuff gets put into feeds in particular. And especially even I know Google's experimented with placing the ads at the top and then putting them off to the side and putting them in shadow boxes. And I still think there's lots of clarity around how we are supposed to interact with and look at these things and know what they are. And that's been a hard sell for these companies that are really struggling, I think, to operate at the scale that they want to, with also being able to support the amount of staff and people that it takes to run a platform such as, those big three. And so, and so one of the things about automation is, though, that I welcome in many respects certain forms of automation, but especially when it comes to notifications around simple things like if the trains are going to be late. But at the same time, if we're automating news in the same way, we have to be very careful that we're not inserting levers for other people to, hack democracy or hack the markets.
Would you? I mean, we would agree. In fact, the chat room's even saying this is the same old propaganda. It's the same old. There's nothing new. And you were reading that book, Jeff, about the history of fake news. There's nothing new here. But would you agree? Is this a loaded term that we've weaponized delivery in such a way that makes it more dangerous? Is that what's going on?
Well, the broadcast question is, I think, what we're talking about when we talk about bots and when we talk about amplification, because instead of seeing, for instance, the way that a telephone or a radio signal broadcast would come out from a tower, and then, you have an expected radius, you have an expected distribution, you have an expected amount of people, and then in the back end, in terms of serving content, you have a whole network and industry concerned with quality, content, authenticity. And with the internet, all of those things fall apart, and you have this nodal distribution of content that's also masquerading as authentic content. And that can be very confusing, right? I mean, we have all of these rules about automated dialers and not allowing robocalling, and people need to be able to opt into services by telephone. But we've done something different with the internet, and we haven't inserted the levers to prevent any kind of meshing of reality with advertising or with adversarial attacks. And so I think the question of scale and automation and amplification are really important. And, we also question in my research group and in any event, what is the danger of amplification, but what are the benefits of it, right? And I think Jeff leans towards where I am in some respects, which is that when we talk about amplifying things, we're generally fairly happy with the content that we choose to consume online.
What are the benefits of amplification?
Okay, so think about all during 2011, Arab Spring, Occupy, not what was happening on Facebook in particular, but the ability for people to broadcast and use live stream and YouTube.
Okay.
To get images, to do citizen media. And citizen media is really, I think, one of the things that we talk about when we talk about the benefits of these platforms and the ability to broadcast anything at any time.
Could net neutrality, the fight for net neutrality, fall under kind of the benefits of amplification? I know they repealed it, but getting people passionate about it and actually to call I would say anything that gets you to call your senators in either way, really, would probably also fall under that.
We've definitely got a galvanized electorate, at least in that and many other issues. All of a sudden, that was essentially passive a few years ago. But isn't all media amplification? Isn't that what mass media is amplification?
Yeah, but now I have the tools to do it in my living.
So it's the democratization of the amplification.
Yeah, but this is where we get hemmed up, I think, in thinking about techno utopias without thinking about social and cultural norms of society that have kept us from
we used to be polite.
Broadcasting everything. But it's a hard thing, because the benefits of amplification also, there's this strata that we're starting to notice where if you do insert a little some capital, you can constrain other people's right to amplification or other people's access to amplification by being simply more present or so this is where bots come in, right? Because if I am 50,000 accounts on Twitter instead of just Boston Joan, then I have increased my magnitude by orders of amplification, and also probably spread myself out around many, many more networks and been multiple, much more powerful and effective communicator.
Compared to ABC, NBC, and CBS, now you have thousands of people. And also, it sinks in a little bit more. It has a different kind of an impact than Walter Cronkite saying we're going to lose the war in Vietnam, because it's human nature. When you hear the same thing from dozens of people, you just assume, oh, it must be true.
Yeah, and that's, I think, one of the things that people are studying around the cognitive aspects of this is how many times do you have to hear something before you think it's true?
Yeah.
And how many times do you see something on an account where you think it's legitimate because they have 50,000 or 500,000 followers, and you assume that someone somewhere must have met them. They must.
And the platform assumes it too.
And the platform does assume it too, and they check mark it in some cases. And so this has been what's hard. But I mean, the history of computers, though, is rife with phishing scams, rife with social engineering, rife with this kind of both play and cyber warfare. We can't get those are both parts of the computer science.
Do you guys study the game theory of this? Because what it strikes me is that these really ultimately what's happened is, it's not merely amplification. Mass media amplified, but you couldn't game mass media particularly well. But you can game this. And it strikes me that it's like the prisoner's dilemma in a way. If you know the other guy's going to cheat, then there's not a problem. If you already, so having multiple voices and being able to marshal multiple voices is a very different kind of amplification than merely having a bully pulpit.
And this is where maybe even Facebook gets implicated in a sense that we've also lowered the cost of coordination, right? So one of the ways that we thought about coordinating 2010, 2011 is look at all this organic coordination that's happening. This is fantastic. I can't believe I've met these people. I've never had this much interest in, getting money out of politics. Let's all move forward together. And the assumption built into the platforms that it's one person, one account. And that the groups that you then build upon those one person, one account are authentic. I think where we get led astray in some aspects of it is when people are operating outside the platform and doing what Facebook has called coordinated inauthentic participation, which is your click farms and your like farms and your troll
Internet
army.
Research Association, whatever that Russian troll farm.
Yeah, but then
there's also people like Milo Yiannopoulos, who by himself was not harmful. It was the bot or the army, whatever they were. There were people, I guess, that he could marshal. Yeah. That was the strength that he had. It wasn't his single voice. It was the coordination that Twitter allowed him.
And one of the things that he would do is he would on his website post someone's Twitter handle and information or phone number or address. And he would encourage, but it was a known that if this information were to get out, that one of your, one of the ways that you participate in media making is that you valorize the host and you do what other people in those media circles do. And so you actually become part of the story when you're part of a coordinated harassment campaign.
So you're studying all of this kind of thing?
Oh, yeah.
Fascinating. What would you do? I'm going to ask all three of you. If you were going to run for president in 2020, or dog catcher, but let's use president because it's a nice big national scale. What tools would you use? What would you do to, let me ask you, Jeff, what would you do to be?
I want to hear Stacey first.
Okay, Stacey starts.
Okay, the least social among us.
Yeah, because you're not even on Facebook.
I'll vote
Did you
for
say
you,
you're not on
Stacey.
Facebook? I am on Facebook. I just don't.
You don't
visit
participate
it ever. Yeah. My last post was like 3 months ago. So I would probably create in my persona, much like I did with my media stuff, accounts at all the major social media platforms. I don't know. This like presupposes a big strategy. So I'm like, oh man.
Well, I'm just saying, maybe you could say in Nixon's era, you would have a media buy, you would do debates, you would get bumper stickers and posters, and maybe
years later you'd start direct mail.
Direct mail. But nowadays, I think it's the landscape. Jeff, isn't the landscape hugely different?
Yeah, and I think God help me for saying what I'm about to say, but I think there's a lesson to be learned from Donald Trump, and it's this. No,
not God help you. It's clear. I mean, he was very effective at doing it.
And so it wasn't my candidate Hillary Clinton tried to turn it into a machine. Trump was a human being of sorts himself. That's it. He used that.
He was a master of media, right? Wasn't he?
Could someone who is not really, but could someone who is and I'm not saying myself here, but intelligent, well-meaning, reasoned, informed, use social media to come off that way, to gain trust, to gain respect, to show people that they're transparent. So the question is how you use it. It's not the tool. So, I mean, every campaign has been using Twitter and Facebook and so on, but they've been using it in manipulative ways. What Trump did was he just got around to all of that and around media and just said, I'm going to say whatever the heck I want to say.
People loved it.
People are going to rally behind that.
People loved it. They still do.
This is some of the stuff that we've been studying is that there's this idea of mimetic warfare. And that the Trump memes and the story isn't here, the Hillary memes. The meme story here is the battle between Trump and Bernie Sanders. And Bernie had quite a meme factory running on Facebook full of dedicated people that were making memes every day.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Different groups of people. All of the memes that you've seen related to Bernie and the bird falling on him and all of these things are coordinated within Facebook groups. A lot of times they'll start working on a meme. They'll get a picture and they'll start working on a theme together. And then the meme will develop in conversation. And then they will after workshopping it, they'll take it and they'll move it to other spaces like onto Reddit. For instance, there was a lot of strategic meme drops within the Donald Reddit. And then from that community, then people are then asked to go spread it out onto Twitter and onto Facebook for broadcast. And so there's quite a few ways that this would happen. And my fear with the use of technology, but it's coming and I'm not the one that came up with this strategy, is essentially you can either pay a super PAC to do sophisticated marketing for the candidate that you like, or you can pay Facebook $10 and circulate the meme that you made. And you can select the ad targeted buckets of people. And what we know is that memes aren't just meant to get people to like something. They can also be used in an offensive manner. That is to trigger other communities of people into disliking something or to get distracted or upset about the wrong thing.
Do you think there are wizards at this who are carefully plotting this, or it was kind of accidental?
I think it's throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something is cooked.
But don't you think
it's so cheap to make spaghetti and throw it at the wall now?
Yeah, well, for the next couple of years,
nothing.
There's people who, it's cheap to throw spaghetti, but there's also people who are looking very carefully right now what spaghetti stuck and refining it, I would presume.
Yes, no,
it may not be Cambridge Analytica. That seems to, they had a meme of their own.
Well, that's interesting. So Joan and I were still at a conference where everyone, I think virtually everyone in the room, right, Joan, just poo-poos that Cambridge Analytica did anything of note. What's your take on that, Joan?
It's hard to tell, right? Because we're not going to know. I mean, the idea that you could use psychometrics and nudge people, I would say that the only way that you're going to guarantee that they saw the content that you were using to nudge is using ad tech at this point. And we know that Donald Trump was circulating on peak days 150,000 pieces of creative. And so that's quite a few messages online per day. And so when people have the conversation about honest ads and what does it mean to monitor political campaigns, I start to wonder at the scope of things. You know, this is how many people do you need to monitor one person's campaign?
But if you were to compare Hillary Clinton's campaign and Donald Trump's campaign, Hillary was a little bit more old school, was big television media buys, and Trump channeled a smaller amount of money into this new media stuff, and it was very, very, very effective. Also, perhaps because candidate Trump was made for that medium in a way that Hillary Clinton was not. But
you can't discount the kind of fandom that goes on online. Fandom is an important aspect of how people participate in online cultures. And so
fandom was how Bernie got from zero to contender, right?
Exactly. So one of the things that we have to be careful of is, of course, we don't want to hand over and say, oh, they're master puppeteers. Look, their strategy worked.
I'm not sure that's
But we also have to understand that he had a Trump had a digital marketing strategy, and Hillary had movement people. And when you have movement people and you have political strategists, they're thinking in a very coordinated way, but they're thinking about, votes in the street and people on the ground. And then they have a digital strategy that reflects the agenda of the party. But you can imagine when you go back and look at all of the things that were circulated that were pro-Trump, and I don't even want to say pro-Republican, because he was definitely running a side bet.
It's become clear he's his own party now,
he was speaking in multiple registers, and there were so many different groups that were motivated to create content on his behalf, right? This is stuff that's not paid.
He's the first meme president.
I would say, I would say so, because even we have Amelia Acker is an amazing researcher at UT Austin, and she's been looking at she's the steward of the social media archive from the White House under Obama, and there's just a remarkable difference in the amount and just in the sheer amount and volume of social media that's attached to the Trump administration that just wasn't present during the Obama administration.
And it's interesting because Obama really reinvented presidential campaigning himself and galvanized groups that were not traditionally Democrat stalwarts. I mean, it's almost as if we've had two presidents in a row that broke the mold. And maybe
will we see that
I wonder.
Going forward? Because Obama, 2008 was a year after the iPhone, right? So he was campaigning as we were embracing mobile, as it were. It strikes
me, and I'm not a historian of elections, but it strikes me that his on-the-ground organization and the coalitions he was able to form and the people he was able to get off their ass to vote were unique to him. And I don't think it had to do with technology. I think it was much more retail.
It was a tool that they used.
Yeah, but it was
just
retail.
like Howard Dean used.
Retail
Howard
politics.
Dean used a tool. So Stacey, what difference did you think that? What did the technology set in motion then for him?
I think he did a lot of like small time campaign donations. So he got people to donate.
Yes.
He spent a lot of time on the web. All the platforms were very well disseminated. I think also more so in 2012, he did use Twitter and Facebook, not the way that Trump did, but to build a coalition and to activate his voting base. I think that was a pretty good job right there. And to reach youngsters. Did I really just say that? I did.
You did.
You're the youngster on this show, but okay.
Wow.
Well, Joan is now too. So.
I wish that were the case. One of the things that I think also that we have to measure with technological development is that people get more agile and more used to using these tools as we become more familiar with them. And so it isn't just that new things get introduced, we get better at using the old things. And so another thing that's been widely overlooked is the use of SMS messaging in mobilizing people to vote and reminding people to vote.
And Obama did that very effectively, I think.
Yes, but this was weaponized during the 2016 election, where there was a massive disinformation campaign to convince people that they could vote by text.
Oh my God, you're kidding! This was
circulating through Twitter, where different hashtags and different people were being targeted with memes and pictures. One very famous one of a mocked fake meme of Aziz Ansari showing people how to vote and get involved by text. And so there's more to come, I think, in terms of impersonating and in phishing campaigns that we're going to have to be much more aware of. And I think we're going to have to adopt a very adversarial approach to understanding political media in the midterm elections. There's a group called First Draft right now that is doing very good work getting a kind of collaboration in place where the people are going to be actively looking for these disinformation campaigns and not just influence ops from other governments, but looking at what's in the meme space, what is coming through these pipes that we're not equipped for in order to tell the public that that's not true.
Yeah, we're going to see WhatsApp and similar platforms being used a lot more in Colombia and Brazil. They've been major forces in election disinformation. So we're going to see stuff we can't find anymore.
This is the most interesting conversation we've had in a while. I really think so. 2018 is a lot sooner than the presidential election, and 2018 is many different smaller elections. This is where this could really start to show its strength. And I'm willing to bet, Steve Bannon's already indicated he really wants to use 2018 to marshal an army. I'm willing to bet that he's one of the geniuses behind getting these meme factories working. I mean, that he had. It wasn't
just the right. I mean, Occupy Democrats on the left.
Occupy
was a force for
Joan
Bernie. Yeah.
That. Yep.
And even in that, I think there's a natural inclination in online participatory culture to want to do something. And one of the things that you can do is be a creative person that makes media, political content, podcasts. But it's that active moment where people think, if I could just, convince them not to vote, or convince them, or these disinformation campaigns that suggest that your polling place is somewhere that it's not, or that voting's been canceled. These are the things that we have to worry about, especially if they look and sound as if they're coming from official accounts. And so it's really going to be up to these platform companies to get their verification papers in order so that people can see the right signals from accounts and know that it's coming from a city council, or know that it's coming from a account run by a police department, rather than hoping that.
I despair of the general American public being able to figure that sucker out.
Yeah, well, that's why there's many verification groups in play that are trying to think about what are the appropriate signals to send, more than just a blue check mark, to let people know that they're engaging with something that has been verified, as you would if you were to flip to the municipality section of what used to be the white pages, right?
Stacey, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying what will be also interesting is how corporate interests, how this plays out with them. And I bring this up because in Austin, for example, a couple of years ago, we had a big city council vote over, basically it was a referendum on Uber and Lyft in the city. And Uber pulled out all the stops, including offering people rides to the polls. They sent me texts. They used their app to galvanize people. And I just saw actually a press release from Comcast that says, in light of the tax bill passing and the repeal of net neutrality, that Brian Roberts, the CEO of Comcast, is giving $1,000 bonuses to his employees and pledging to invest $50 billion in investment over the next 5 years in their networks.
Stacey, if I may, just to add on that, Rick, I know I'm interrupting you, but for point of information, AT&T did that first. And it turns out the $1,000 bonuses were mandated a couple weeks ago by the union. A. B. Guess what AT&T wants to do next? So this is a thank you gift for net neutrality. Sorry, go ahead.
No. And I was about to say, now the carriers have long played these kind of games. But what you're seeing now is they usually have played this with politicians. So a lot of our broadband investment from the initial run into fiber was kind of, it was highly politicized, and the politicians, they would donate money and then get promises to subsidize some investments that never then actually happened. So what's interesting here, though, is that they're starting to talk about this and give this out to the world at large, and there's no checks on this. And so that then becomes there are checks in the form of the media actually reporting this, but you may not see what the media reports, especially if you're only listening to certain channels, right? And so the weaponization is not just from foreign states, it's also from corporate interests. And we should be, and I think that's a little bit more nefarious, and it's a little harder to go after.
Yep.
Let's take a little break, because you wanted to see Rebel Wilson sing Google translated Christmas songs, right, Jeff?
I do.
This is Jimmy Fallon. So I guess this is a regular bit for Jimmy. They take traditional Christmas carols and they let Google translate.
They put them through Romanian and then back to English.
Oh, they round trip it.
Becomes tonight the play Jimmy Fallon plays. So we did the same thing with song lyrics. Some people have done this online.
This is Rebel Wilson from Pitch Perfect.
Rebel, you were my guest, so you are up first. Here's the special microphone. You will be singing the Google Translate version of Deck the Halls, which when translated is called The Homes Are Covered.
Okay.
Roots?
Let's give it a go.
This is just a little palate cleanser.
The homes are covered with a bush. It's a happy weather event. Let us wear untroubled garments. Ancient sparrows fight with carol.
All right. Just had to have a little holiday moment.
Without Google, we would not have this joy.
Oh, and God bless it. God bless it, everyone. Germany says Facebook cannot. I love this. The register. Ouch! Germany slaps Facebook in its abusive little face for limitlessly amassing data. The German Competition Authority, Jeff, you can say it, Bundeskartellamt?
Richtig. Bundeskartellamt.
Informed Facebook on Tuesday of its preliminary legal assessment that by forcing third-party websites and apps, including the ones it owns, WhatsApp and Instagram, and anybody using a Facebook API to share their data with Facebook was abusing its position. So they're going to prevent Facebook from getting any information out of WhatsApp or Instagram using GDPR. Oi? Is that what you said?
Yeah, oi.
Oi. Users cannot expect data which is generated when they use services other than Facebook to be added to their Facebook account to this extent. It is all the same company.
Yeah, the same thing happened with Google a while ago. Oh my God, you're going to use Google Maps. Well, yeah, it's the same company, and Google Maps and Google Search are now intertwined in a way that you couldn't tell them apart. But be that way, Germany, be that way.
Google applies machine learning to planet hunting and has discovered two new exoplanets.
This is cool. This is cool.
So yeah, you can't deny this is valuable. Using a data set of more than 15,000 Kepler signals. Kepler is the space telescope NASA launched 8 years ago. They created a TensorFlow model to distinguish planets from non-planets. To do this, it had to recognize patterns caused by actual planets versus patterns caused by other objects like star spots and binary stars. Then the system said, all right, we got the planets, 96% accuracy rate. Then they used the system to hunt for new planets. So how do they know it's a exoplanet, which is an Earth-like planet, right? Say again?
Is that the definition of an exoplanet? I didn't know what the definition of an exoplanet was.
Or it's just some other planet. Oh, exo means just out of our solar system. Never mind. All right. With 200, I was hoping it was Earth-like exoplanets, but no. With 200,000 stars in the database, they looked at 670 stars that had 2 or more previously discovered exoplanets. And by doing that, they learned what an exoplanet was, better than I did anyway, and discovered two new ones, Kepler 80G and Kepler 90I. Now that's computer intelligence. Huh. 2 new planets. Thank you. Thank you, Google. Thank you, Google AI.
I think we've discovered a lot of new planets, though. Like thousands.
It was a big. But recently, that's the funny thing is we didn't even know there were planets outside our solar system. We assumed there must be, but we didn't know until relatively
That's why new
recently.
tools are the best thing for science. Oh my God.
Science. All right. Google has said no more Project Tango. This ARC core stuff, good enough. AR core, good enough. Tango was the very, very advanced hardware-based augmented reality that required, a special camera and special phone. AR Core is just like Apple's AR Kit. In fact, it was announced curiously close to the announcement of AR Kit. And, well, we've seen already what AR Core can do because those stickers, those new stickers on the Pixel camera.
Yeah, which I finally got.
Which I have never used, even though I now have them.
They're cool.
Oh,
they are cool. I showed them off at the office. That's how you use them. You need an office to say, look what I have, and you don't, Apple people.
Stacey works alone. She doesn't.
Are you saying I need friends?
You need some friends.
Are you saying
you can't appreciate the goog until you have. Look what I made for my daughter, Abby. I made a video of floating balloons in my office, but they're not real balloons. You can go all around them and see them, but they're not real balloons. That's AR Kit, KR Core. That's kind of cool.
No, that's okay.
It is.
Huh? You just say that's dumb?
How could that be misused? Sorry.
Yeah. Well, if you were to make a UFO land in the middle of Times Square, it could be a problem.
Or a porg on my desk.
Yes.
Happy
that
little
looks like fun.
It's
actually.
cool.
I think people started talking about this actually when Pokemon Go came out, and the idea was You know, I mean, most of the stories were about, you know, people are falling off of sidewalks because they're not looking at the ground. But there is there are many, many concerns among people about televisual and audio hacking and the inability to distinguish truth from reality. And this is, you know, long-term standing concerns that people had when the, you know, photograph got introduced. And what does it mean to freeze someone in time? But
if you're smart, you look at this picture of my wife with a stormtrooper, you could see my wife's shadow is going a different direction than the stormtrooper's shadow.
So your wife's not real, right?
So my wife is not real.
So all that effort I've spent learning how to tell photoshopped images could start coming in handy for me.
I'm married to a Star Trooper. Yeah, baby. A stormtrooper. Yeah. Married to a stormtrooper. That sounds like a Capra movie.
I married a stormtrooper.
I married a stormtrooper.
Yep.
I don't know. I think this is kind of cool. Actually, I had this is the final version, but actually I had to position her because she was right behind him at first, and I said, "Put your arm around him." I said, "No, you go to the left. No, okay, other."
Your poor wife.
Go to the left. No, move over.
That's actually a better picture right there.
Move over a little more. Perfect. Woof. There you go.
Yeah, I don't really.
Come on, Stacey. It's cool.
I'm sorry. It's
You're
stupid.
no fun, Stacey. You're just no fun.
That's why we only have.
It's fun until it's, you know.
It's fun
I'm
for a
Stacey
minute.
on this. It's fun until like the state or another state gets a hold of it. And then they're, it's just,
Boy, you're a buzzkill.
Yeah, jeez.
It's fun until North Korea gets a hold of it.
Media to understand what's happening in the world, and so, as it becomes harder to know that you're watching a movie when you think you're watching the news or things, we're in for what
we're already there, right?
Reality jamming, right?
Yeah.
He's the chief data officer over at the New York Times.
We're already there. I mean, you go to a movie and half the movie is not real. You don't know it. I'm not talking about Star Wars. I'm talking about just like a regular everyday movie.
Yeah, I bet the audience actually thinks I'm a real person.
They could tell right there where your robot voice went a little bit funny. That was the giveaway.
Yeah, the danger is when they automate podcasts, right? That's the
Leo's done it.
I've been dead
Leo's
for
the
4
only employee.
I've been dead
the
for
wife
4
is made
years.
up.
Yeah.
We're all made up. It's just Leo.
It's not even me. It's a clone.
He's the loneliest man on earth. He just talks to imaginary people.
Oh, I wish I could do that. Joan has to get going.
Yes,
can you give me 5 more minutes? But because I want you have a good pick. You have a great pick, and I want to get that if you can. So let me do an ad quickly, and then we'll give me 5 more minutes. Can you?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. I won't make you. I mean, if you have to go, you have to go. But it's a 7 p.m. show up at Penn Station. I'll be fine.
Oh, you're fine.
What are you going to see?
We're going to see Elf the musical. I don't know if it's going to be ridiculous or what.
Ridiculous.
That sounds awesome.
Joan, just bet on that.
It could be both.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Just ridiculously awesome.
Yes.
Is Will Ferrell in it? No.
No, I wish. But it's, just kicking in the holiday spirit.
All right. Our show brought to you real quickly. We'll do this, and then I'll get Joan's pick. Our show brought to you by GoToWebinar. They are amazing. I did a GoToWebinar helping parents protect their teens. So what's great about that is you can give it in live and people can attend live. You can have up to 6 presenters, kind of an unlimited number of people can watch it. I don't remember, we had 50 or 60. But the beauty part is you can record it, and the recorded on-demand version continues, as long as you want, and it's just as interactive as the original. You can, as you're doing a GoToWebinar, you can have 20 polls, each with 20 questions. You won't use that many, but as many as, which is nice. You set up questions at the beginning. Like, for instance, I had a poll at the beginning asking people who they were, what they were interested in. That helps me do a better job as a presenter. You could do questions on the fly, too, though. If something comes to you and you go, like we do on the show, how would, if you were going to run for president, how would you do it? Something like that. You can have polls like that. And the thing is, even in the on-demand version later, people are watching the replay. All those polls are live and active. So it is just as interactive. That engages your audience. It keeps them awake, makes it more fun, and it's even better for you. With GoToWebinar, it's easy to start a webinar. They have custom email invitations, confirmation emails, reminder emails, automated email templates, so you don't even need to do that. You just let them handle it. They can always have your company logo and custom image on all the webinar materials. It's also mobile friendly, so you can do all of this, schedule a webinar, even edit a session or track performance from your iOS or Android device. GoToWebinar. And I love the analytics. The real-time analytics give you an idea of how you're doing, so you can do better next time. You can also get qualified leads, other metrics, end-to-end 128-bit AES encryption, so it's secure. #1 in customer satisfaction. I want you to try it. GoToWebinar.com/podcast. Turn your next presentation into a conversation with GoToWebinar. For more information, GoToWebinar.com/podcast. Joan Donovan is a researcher at Data and Society. She researches media manipulation. Ooh. And you had a very interesting book you were talking about before the show. You want to make that your pick of the week?
Yeah, so one of my favorite books, and I'm revisiting it more and more, is Phil Lapsley's Exploding the Phone. And one of the reasons why I love this book is it's rife with first-person accounts from phone phreakers about the different kinds of exploits, the different kinds of infrastructural hacks that they've encountered. And, you know, there's stories that are a little bit more in the vein of social engineering. Really, the birth of social engineering happens with people trying to hack telephone infrastructures in order to convince, operators to give them free calls. And so there's lots of young, experimentation going on. And then there's also some foreshadowing of surveillance state type, there's this alliance where AT&T is trying to understand if people are stealing phone calls. So they start just recording the first 90 seconds of any phone call without really thinking about the implications of what that might be. And so, so Phil Lapsley's book really takes a deep dive into history, but also helps us think about, well, what are the problems that we've always known were here with technology and misuse, or in some cases, innovative use. There's some great stories about technology that was built, the blue box, of course, tone dialers that were used to make free phone calls, but this is the selling of blue boxes is infamously tied to the birth of the Apple computer and getting people involved in homebrew and microcomputing. I don't want to call them hobbyists because they became so much more than that. But yeah, so it's a really great history told from a very particular set of people that were doing early hacking, and they were known as phone phreaks, which some of the people in your audience might know about, and some of them
are.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. I've known my share. I remember Woz telling me about how he used to listen in to satellites, phone calls on the satellites. Woz never stopped. People thought, Woz and Jobs cleaned up their act after they founded Apple. Maybe Steve Jobs did, but Woz did not. And Woz's stories are legend.
Yeah. I mean, there was nothing more exciting, even as a teenager, accidentally picking up your wireless phone and hearing the conversation of a neighbor, right? Because they ended up crossing frequencies. And so there's, and there's really great stories about discovery of, Captain Crunch, of course, and discovering that you can use whistles, and Joy Bubbles is a young blind teenager that discovers that he can whistle the tones because he has perfect pitch. And so it's really, at the intersection of bodies and technology, and it's a really great account of a history of computing that I think is would have been lost if Lapsley hadn't really taken the time to do such an admirable job surfacing that history.
Yeah, I'm glad he wrote this. I'm going to have to get it. This is really interesting. And I guess, just another time I'll tell you about how I wrestled with John Draper. That's a story for another day.
Okay. Have me back, please.
Joan Donovan, Thank you so much. It's really nice to meet
Joan.
you. We will have you back. Very nice to have you on the show.
I look forward to it. Thank you very much. It's been great talking with everyone.
Media manipulation research lead at Data and Society. Enjoy the show.
Come by anytime.
Elf, the musical. I want a review.
I'll tweet it to you later.
Thanks, Joan. At Boston Joan on Twitter if you want to see her.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
280-word review.
Have a good one.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Night. Bye.
Jeff, you got a number for us?
Oh, we're already there. Oh, I thought we were just doing that.
Well, we could do, I mean, we've done an hour and a half. You want to do another hour? We easily could. There's plenty to talk about. God knows.
Let's see what else there is.
All right, more stories.
Oh, you guys.
She wants to go to dinner. You want to go to dinner. All you have to do is say, I've got tickets for Elf, the musical.
I do not have
I think we should have saved her from it.
I'd like to go right now.
Let me just see. Was there anything else here?
No, there is lots to talk about.
Well, but I'm gonna do triage.
Yeah, by all means. As opposed to usual.
You make it sound so fancy, Leo.
Triage. I think we did actually most of the really interesting stuff.
We did a lot of the good stuff. Well, we didn't talk about Twitter. So Twitter's finding religion and getting rid of bad guys.
Yeah. So did you get purged?
Last I knew, Mike Cernovich is still. Yeah, very funny.
I did not get purged.
Mike Cernovich is still there.
They purged the woman who tweeted the British woman who tweeted the anti-Muslim videos that Donald Trump retweeted. She's gone. What was her name? The Jada Fransons. She was the head of the ultranationalist Britain First. She's gone. She's suspended. Goodbye.
Right.
It's ironic. She's probably thinking, well, how come they can suspend me but not Donald Trump?
Yeah.
There's some selective. I didn't read the. Did you read the emails that BuzzFeed surfaced? The internal company emails at Twitter while they were debating what to do about Milo and the blue check mark?
No, I didn't read that.
Oh no, I did read about Google's lasers though.
Yeah,
blah 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 media lasers.
Lasers is much better. It's
that
actually
was my 6th grade science fair project.
Lasers?
I was trying to see
lasers?
whether you could transmit data over light, and of course I couldn't do it with a 60-watt bulb.
Wow, that's impressive.
You could do Morse code. Can you? Can you do a dash with the light? Yeah, that's data.
Bloomberg has launched a 24-hour news channel which appears only on Twitter. Twitter is doubling down on live video. The new channel called TikTok is just for the tweets. It has a curated...
It's also Bloomberg's thumbing its nose at the other platforms.
Cheddar.
Really? What? So why? What? Is there something going on I didn't know about? Like
no. Justin Smith, who's a brilliant CEO of Bloomberg Media, is one of the guys who's being tough on the platforms in terms of negotiating stance. So this is a way that he can do something outside of Facebook, let's say.
It's like Donald Trump going directly to the people, except it's Bloomberg
now
going directly to the twits.
So this is not on the homepage of Twitter.
No, but I saw on my Twitter feed, it says, hey, see what's live right now.
And then
arrow up.
It's a special page, twitter.com/events.
For the company.
And then you get, I'll mute this. Then you get this. But then there's also tweets associated with it. And actually, it's just the TikTok's tweets. Oh, no, there's other people's tweets.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Combining video and tweets.
Yeah.
As like a news service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that's,
makes sense for Bloomberg, right?
What would be really interesting is building, not a CMS in its entirety, but a way for, reporters who are on the scene. Yeah, a publishing tool. So I could come in as a verified reporter for a publication and be like, I just saw this. And if you could actually authenticate people on the ground, that becomes really interesting too. But that's a little more far-fetched.
Well, but I was talking to somebody who just went to Snap, and he was saying that if you play with the Snap map and look at events going on, you really do see verified people who are there, and they're verifying each other in essence. Oh, yeah, that's the same scene, it's the same thing going on. Wow, all these perspectives. That was one of the original concepts that Ev had for Twitter, was that it was a kind of worldwide wire service.
It is. I mean, that is actually kind of what that's how I use it in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
When something happens.
Have you ever played with a snap map? Did you know it existed?
No. I did not. What I did,
The kids
somebody
know
read
it
about it.
exists. The kids know.
Somebody wrote a really good story about snap maps and how snap maps taught them what Snapchat could be.
I'm sorry. So I'm at there's a page. If you look up Snap Map, where you can see how to do it. Even when they explain it to you, I can't figure out how to use Snapchat.
That's because you're old, Jeff.
I am old. There we go. Yeah. So you pinch in. You pinch in, and then see the world. See snaps of events and breaking news from around the world.
You pinch in on the camera.
On the camera, yeah. Pinch in.
Oh, look! There's 2 people snapping right now in the whole world. Who are these people? Me and Alex.
I don't know.
Alex Gumbel and I are there. Okay, that's good. And then I zoom out. This is the rest of the snap world. There's the Golden Gate Bridge. Oh, look at how hot it is in San Francisco right now. It's a snap heat map. It's the action. All the action's happening down here on Pine and Polk. What does that mean?
New Brunswick. Tons of stuff happening.
Really? Big in New Brunswick? This is
because Rutgers is there.
Right. So LA. So what do I do with this?
What do you do with any of this, Leo?
It's pretty.
Play until you find a use case.
It's pretty. A lot of people are snapping at Universal Studios Hollywood, apparently.
Oh yeah, that'd be snap worthy.
If I tap the heat map, I can see. Oh, there, yeah. Now I can see. Here's people doing things at Universal Studios. I can see my drive.
Ooh, my favorite sandwich in the world. I'm seeing a picture of my very favorite sandwich in the world. It's gone, of course. It's Snapchat.
What was it?
Well, there's this thing in New York. If you go to the outdoor Christmas festivals, Baked Cheese House, Haus. It's raclette.
Oh, I love raclette.
A piece of bread, wonderful, wonderful baguette.
Yeah,
and then the raclette is roasting under the
hot
heat,
cheese.
Right?
Yeah,
they shave the cheese down in this beautiful goo.
Yeah,
put a little fine ham, a few cornichon, a little mustard.
Ooh,
and then they smush more cheese on the top of it. So your first bite is just a cheesy wonder. That was just on Snap.
I got my Echo Spot, but I left it at home. I was going to show you have an Echo Spot, though, right? Do you have an Echo Spot? I'm trying to distract her.
No,
not yet.
I don't want him.
That's the alarm clock that watches you.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Not a fan.
Not in the bedroom.
It's already sold out, so
it got rave reviews. People love that thing.
I can't wait.
You haven't gotten yours yet?
No, I got mine today, but I forgot and left it at home.
Oh,
is it in my office? See if it's in my office. I asked Sarah to bring it. Marsha Blackburn has a Representative Marsha Blackburn has a new new law she wants to do that would allow paid fast lanes and would permanently bar FCC from using Title II. It's of course, I guess ironically named the Open Internet Preservation Act.
Oh, jeez.
Maybe not. Maybe she doesn't really understand irony. I don't know. It would prohibit the FCC from using Title II. It would prohibit state governments from enacting their own net neutrality laws. But it would ban blocking and throttling. Oh, here's my spot. Look, it just arrived. My spot lot. Not. This is my pick of the week. I didn't set it up last night. I could have. But no, I wanted you guys to be the first to see my Echo Spot. So, it is a little bigger than I thought. It's pretty, right? This is Amazon Echo has a small round screen, kind of like the Echo Show's little brother, right? And this is what everybody's a little up in arms about. It has a camera. It has audio out. So what I will do is hook this up to my nice stereo speakers in my bedroom. Anyway, there's not much more to say about it. You guys don't seem too intrigued, so...
Well, no. I'm just waiting for you to get it
unplugged in.
You want to see video on it? All right, so John will need to...
Yeah, I want to see YouTube or Amazon Tube, as it is.
Amazon Tube?
Open Tube.
Yeah, by the way, that's what's the latest on that? Amazon has is
trademarked it. They bought the domain name a while back, and then they trademarked it.
trademarked
OpenTube.
it. On sale right now. The Echo Show is on sale for $150. This is a little more, I think, right?
No, it's like 130.
I thought that was $129.
This is $129, $130. Okay. John's going to plug it in. Yeah, and then there's you can now buy Google Chromecast and Apple TVs on Amazon again for some reason. There's the screen. Here, you went over the shoulder.
They've kissed and made up.
They've kissed and made up. Amazon gave up. It's going to start selling them. Echo. Yeah, it's a nice looking screen. It's pretty. It's little, but it's an alarm clock, right? Goes right here. You could turn the camera off.
It's the zombie.
It is very much like
A Chumby.
Chumby. Hello, Echo Spot. English. I could do English or German. Oh, I have to.
Jeff.
Deutsch. No, do English. They don't get. You'll never get to use it.
Logging into our Wi-Fi. See, there we go. Connecting. It's interesting because in the past, didn't you have to set this up with the app on your phone? This seems to be doing its setup right on the.
How's it going to know it's you?
Welcome,
Once
Leo
you've
Laporte.
got it.
Oh.
Yeah, when you buy a new Amazon Echo device,
Right.
it
Yes,
knows who you are.
that's me. Am I at Pacific Standard Time? You bet. Oh,
No, you shouldn't have clicked on that.
I should have said next. Jeff, you know how to. Oh, now I'm in Tijuana, Mexico. That's okay. Close enough. Checking for app. Device name Leo's Echo Spot. Good enough. Your Echo Spot will be updated. Oh, that's too bad. So now I got to update it.
Shoot.
It's a nice screen. You know what? It's not very loud, but it's better quality than the Dot. Let me turn it up. All the way up.
And everything's going to be round?
Yeah. Round video. Isn't that weird? That's kind of weird.
Like the original television sets.
Oh, yeah. I should watch Milton
round?
Berle. Texaco.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Little Stacey, when I was a child, we had
Magic Leap has said we've got it. We're going to make it. You could buy it. It's going to be a developer edition. No word on price, but I have to say looks so much better looking than Google Glass. You can't wait to wear these, can you, Jeff? Look at that.
As I install the updates, your Echo Spot will restart twice.
See, that sounds pretty good.
Stacey, I just put one in the chat.
Magic
A
Leap.
round TV set.
Oh.
We're educating Stacey to the old days, the good old days. The good old
It's a
days.
steam-powered TV, Stacey. We had to shovel the coal in the back to get it working.
Hush.
I think we can move on. Everybody knows how bad people's passwords are. How Europe's internet laws threaten the freedom of expression.
Yeah, we could feed
know that
Stacey.
stuff.
We could feed
Let's go.
Stacey.
Let's
What
do
do you
it.
have for dinner tonight, Stacey?
I don't know yet, but it's I just arrived here. It's less that I'm hungry and more that I'm just I had to drive here, so it's a 3-hour drive, and now I'm still sitting here, and I'm kind of like,
We're almost done.
Okay, guys,
It's done. We're
Your
going to wrap
parents
it
are
up.
saying, "What is she doing? I don't understand what she's doing." She says she's on a show. What show?
What's
Where
a
do we see the show?
podcast,
I don't. What
Harold?
is this?
What is a?
So my dad watches Twig, or has in the past.
It's so mean of us.
Oh, we gotta be nice to you.
No, you just need to be nice to my dad. He doesn't care about me.
We love your dad. We do, Mr. Higginbotham.
What, you could have him come in and say hi.
I don't think he's home actually.
Oh.
I think he's. I don't know who's home. See, that's it. I want to see my family too, you guys.
Yeah, no.
I know you do.
Jeff, give us a number.
All right, number. All right, so which one do I want to do? Elon Musk accidentally revealed his cell number.
Yeah, he tweeted
I thought it was the Oculus cell number. I thought it was the Oculus CTO cell number.
Oh, that would be worse. Bad enough
And
to
then
reveal yours.
CNBC called the number, and you can hear what they heard.
Oh, okay. Let's play that. Here's the audio. Someday, this is just perfect. I can never autoplay every time, except the one time I want it to play. Oh my God! It's just sitting
Actually,
there.
if you scroll
Here it is.
Down. You could the link. You can hear it here.
Oh, so he thought this was a DM.
Yeah.
He thought this was a DM.
Go to the you can hear it here.
But he actually said, call me here. Here is. What?
By the gods, you've done it. Somehow you found your way here to me. I offer you my congratulations and my respect. Together, we shall.
So that's what's on his.
Is that true?
Evidently.
Dude, they did it. They found our Easter egg.
Who are you?
I don't know if they did the whole thing, but the.
So Elon Musk, when he tweeted the phone number, he knew that was not the number.
I don't know, but on the voicemail message, you get by the gods, you've done it. Somehow you found your way to me. I offer you congratulations and my respect.
Maybe it really was his number, then he realized, so he put the God of War.
We will never know, Leo. We will never know.
It's kind of weird that Elon had that clip just lying around to put on his answering machine. Unless it was
kind of what I would expect of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm with Jeff.
Here's so we don't have net neutrality in the United States, but the UK government has agreed to make high-speed broadband a legal right by the year 2020, obliging all internet service providers to at least offer 10 megabits down per second by the year 2020.
But Brexit. Where would you move? Where would each, if you said, I don't want to live in America anymore, where would you each move?
Amsterdam.
Ah, yeah.
Not for the weed.
Good choice.
Broadband's good.
The freedom.
And it's a sense of freedom place, yeah.
And it's lovely.
And good coffee,
yes,
good beer. It's everything.
And bikes, flat.
Queso, not so great there, but that's okay. You can make your own. They got raclette.
It could be your business.
I bet they got raclette.
Stacey's queso.
Every place has good melted cheese. You just have to figure out what it's called.
What the cheese is, yeah. They're always melting it. I'm going to the British Virgin Islands. I'll get back to you. It is, I understand, a great tax haven, although they are at pains to deny it. I'm hoping to stash all my loot there and come back. I'm putting my Bitcoin in the British Virgin Islands.
How's Bitcoin doing right now?
It's up and down.
I bought $1,000 worth.
Yeah, when?
November 12.
Oh.
And so I'm more than double.
Nice. It's gone up that much since November 12th. It's currently at 16,618 according to.
It's down a bit.
Yeah. I have 7 and 8.85 Bitcoin somewhere.
You have 7 Bitcoins?
Yeah, 7.85. But I can't. I have the wallet. I can't remember the password, which is apparently a thing.
It's like 28%. A Bitcoin's may be lost.
It's not lost. I know exactly where it is. It's sitting on my desk, but I can't get into it because I didn't write down the password, which usually means I used one of my usual regular everyday passwords, but it doesn't seem to be any of those. Yeah.
This is the cryptocurrency equivalent of like your ship with your gold doubloons hitting the bottom of the ocean floor.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought I was so smart. I was going to keep the wallet on my local computer.
So it's $133,000. It's just sitting there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll enter some more passwords. See, could it be this? Could it be this? I got a notebook of all the passwords I've tried. I'm just going to work my way down the list. Someday. I actually need it now. I bought the new iMac Pro. I actually need the Bitcoin. I got a big credit card bill coming due. Stacey Higginbotham does that fabulous Stacey on IoT podcast every week with her friend Kevin Toffel, our friend Kevin Toffel too. And you can read her newsletter at StaceyOnIoT.com. Follow her on the Twitter at GigaStacey. Have a great Christmas with your family.
You didn't like my thing?
I did your thing.
Oh, what's your thing?
I'm like, dang, I feel judged and found wanting.
No, I didn't even see your thing. What's your thing?
Which could be a thing.
Do your thing.
Sonos is now available on the Wink. So for those of you who have a Wink smart home hub, if you had smart things for a while, you've had Sonos for a while. But there you go. And it is excellent. You can make robots that will say, hey, when I open the door, it will play my theme song, should you want it to do that.
I do want that.
Yes. See, I thought you would. It's very easy.
What are your theme songs? Well, we know Stacey's is I've been working on the railroad.
That is not. That's my recessional for the
terrible
wedding. That's
song.
my exit song.
I enjoy being a girl.
That is also not my theme song. Mine
What's your
would be
theme song,
Lily
Stacey?
Allen. It would be "Bitch" by Lily Allen. It's hard out there for a bitch.
I love
Hard
that
out
song.
there for a bitch. Good
Great
song.
song.
Leo, your theme song?
I did it. Da 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 da. You know, like that. Gonna fly now. That's my theme song. Whenever I come in the room, I want to hear this. Ladies and gentlemen, last show of the holiday season, last show of the year.
And you're off. You flying off tomorrow?
I'm flying off tomorrow to the British Virgin Islands. If I don't drown, I'll be back with all of you on Wednesday, January 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th.
Oh.
Huh?
I was saying the 3rd, but you won't be here for that one.
What's the 3rd?
Isn't that a Wednesday?
On January 3rd.
Yeah, no, I'll be here for that one. My calendar's all screwed up. January 3rd. So next Wednesday, we're going to do a best of Twig, all the best moments involving Stacey punching me in the head and stuff. It'll be fun.
Queso jokes.
Queso jokes galore. And then the
wrong way, Stacey.
But we will be back.
I got it.
We will be back in 2 weeks for a brand new, fresh edition.
I'll be coming at you from Sun City Center, Florida.
Nice. Snowbird,
No, not
eh?
nice. No, not
Is that a
nice.
retirement community?
Yeah, you have to be 55 years old to live in the town, not just in the building, but in the town.
It's just right for us, Jeff.
A lot of people, yeah, exactly, Leo. People just go there to complain.
So Jeff is at City University of New York, where he is proudly teaching young people the merits of great journalism. Thank God somebody's doing it. He also blogs at buzzmachine.com, and you will find his posts on the Medium as well, and of course his books include What Would Google Do, Public Parts, Geek Sparing Gifts, and more. Jeff, Stacey, have a great holiday. It's almost there. It's optimizing. It's seconds away from being a real Echo Spot.
Wow, that's a really long update cycle.
Yeah, you know, you turn these devices on. The first thing it's got to do is download and install.
Oh, there it goes. It's almost there.
Almost there.
Almost there.
Almost there. Inches away. Let's play some more Rocky theme. It'll inspire it. Here it comes. The Echo Spot. So what should so would it be bad to put this in my bedroom without telling my wife?
Yeah.
Probably.
Oh.
Optimizing is complete. Checking for latest software updates. So, ladies and gentlemen, you might want to plug this in on Christmas Eve in order to have it. Wait a minute.
Continue.
What? It says something. Introducing the Echo Spot.
Introducing Amazon Echo Spot.
Sounds much better than a dot.
Compact Echo with a screen that's designed to fit anywhere, like on your office desk.
That's much better. That sound is actually pretty good.
It is.
Alexa
And it's
helps
pretty.
you do more with your voice.
Yeah. What?
What's on my calendar today?
I don't know.
Today, there are 2 events. At 8 a.m., there's a call with
Who
Grandma.
keeps their calendar on Amazon?
There's Ben's soccer game.
You can tie it to your Google account, but not your professional Google account.
Right.
Just my
right
Google. But you can have my calendar. Actually, that's kind of handy.
You know what?
And now,
I will
you
tell
can
you
easily
guys,
call most
the
numbers in
calendar
the US,
feature is a
Canada,
problem
or
because
Mexico
ahead of
from your
Christmas,
Echo
I had
device
put
to
a
your
note,
home
a
or
reminder
mobile
note on
phone
my calendar
at no
saying
additional cost.
it was for my
Alexa,
daughters into slime, so we're doing a slime restock. So they do it at certain times. So I was like, put the URL for the slime thing and the time it restocked as a reminder event on my calendar. And she saw it on the Amazon Echo.
Oh, you ratted me out, Echo.
I know. And she also saw it on the Tesla because apparently when I get into the car, it's like,
Yep.
boom,
Puts
here's your things for the
my
day.
calendar on the Tesla too, yeah.
And you can disable both of these things, but if you're not like
You got to think to do it, yeah.
Yeah. because I am not by nature a super stealthy individual.
You know what this is? It's like a clock radio. It's kind of funny. But I think this is great. I like it.
So are you playing video?
I do on my Echo Home all the time. Well, it's playing video.
I just wanted to
yeah. It's still talking, but it's video.
And turn off the downstairs lights.
The problem is I have to tilt it because it's so bright, so it doesn't look as good as it could. It looks good. It's just very bright.
Can you just skip this?
Yeah.
Well, it's long.
Yeah, it is. I don't know if you can. I can never skip them on mine.
Oh, watch this. Now play. Loading. Oh, I think it. Oh, isn't that pretty?
It's a very expensive clock.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to use the A word. Everybody, cover your ears. Well, it's gonna watch YouTube. I don't know what should I do. What can I watch?
Videos are not currently supported on this device.
What's on Amazon?
Echo. Watch the Marvelous
Catastrophe.
Mrs. Maisel.
Oh, that's it.
It's a very good show, by the way. Did you ever watch it, Jeff? Echo, watch the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Echo. Oh, that's not. Watch the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Here's the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel Season 1, Episode 4.
I don't know why.
Episode 4? Oh, because it knows you've watched 1 through 3?
It's a little dark.
This is not a way to watch television.
Well, she's sitting on the fire escape. She can't see Jack. Her dad won't let her watch Jack Parr in her bedroom. So she's sitting on the fire escape, smoking a cigarette, watching the neighbors watching Jack Parr, which kind of dates it right there. And then, you know. You know what? It looks great, but it's very small.
Very small. Were you a Jack Parr fan?
I'm too young to have been able to watch Jack Parr.
Well, no, you were not.
You watched Jack Parr?
Some.
I didn't even see Steve Allen. I started.
Stephen Allen, I didn't see.
Well, Jack Parr was before. He was?
No, he came before Jack Parr.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you.
And you can also.
What else?
You can also, Leo, ask it to show you your Ring doorbell if you've connected the
Echo.
two.
I'm sorry. Show me my front door.
A few things share that name. Which one did you want?
The front door. Echo, show me right.
Sorry, I didn't find different.
Show me my Ring video doorbell.
Sorry, I didn't find my Ring video doorbell.
Show me. Oh, crud. Anastasia, show me Excedrin. What's the temperature outside, Excedrin? Just show me my front door. I don't know why she doesn't know. This has worked in.
A few things share that name. Which one did you want?
Number 1. I don't know what they're talking about.
Sorry, I didn't find number 1.
Okay, never mind. I'm going to go.
Yeah.
No, you can't go until I show you my front door. You have to stay now.
Then you need to pull out your phone and get your app and look and see what it's called.
You have to see my front door.
Maybe your Bitcoin password is the same as your front door name.
Yeah, it's probably in there. I like this. I am going to, you know what? I understand now why people are very positive about this. And I don't even think we're getting the full value of the speaker because it's not sitting on something, because the speaker's downfiring. And so I think it gets a little more resonance from the tabletop. So very nice. Very nice. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll be here next week with the best of, and in 2 weeks for a brand new Twig. Have a great holiday.